Jrue Holiday wants to remain a Boston Celtic. And why wouldn't he? He's been a staple in the starting five for the C's this season, so there's only one way to properly give thanks to Mr. Holiday, and that's by wearing a headband replicating his. If this video gets 200 comments, then I'm going to rock Jrue Holiday's headband next stream. So hopefully this video will get 200 comments by spamming Jrue down below. Jrue Holiday wants to sign a contract extension with the Boston Celtics. If you guys do remember, even if you don't, let me remind you real quick, Jrue Holiday did sign with the Boston Celtics in the offseason, and it did send Malcolm Brogdon away to the Portland Trail Blazers. And I think this was a huge trade for Boston Celtics to make, and it's really paid off. Jrue Holiday has been a defensive asset for this team. So we're going to talk about what a Jrue Holiday extension would look like for the C's. And on the back half of the show, we're going to talk about a bigger bench, so you're not going to want to miss who we have to offer up for the Boston Celtics. But first, let's hear from the man of the hour. Jrue Holiday did break down, and he said, "I'd like to be here. I feel like I'm getting more and more comfortable, loving the guys, loving the organization, and loving this city. My last extension was during the course of the year, and I think we can do both talk about it and as well as prepare for games and prepare for what the future is." Look, Jrue Holiday is a veteran. He's been through this. This is his fourth team that he's played for in the NBA. And something that really stood out to me when he was traded from the Milwaukee Bucks to the Boston Celtics pretty rapidly, as reports did show, he and his wife both became public in saying, look, wherever we go, we like to make a home there. We have kids that have to go to school here. We like to be involved with friends here as well. They're just normal people having lives who are also very good at playing sports. The fact that Jrue Holiday is in Boston, of course he's welcomed by the fans of TD Garden. No wonder he's being mature and he wants to stay here. A pretty interesting stat did come up when you think about it. Taylor Snow tweeted this out saying Jrue Holiday in his last game became the first Celtic this season to cross the 100-mile mark. Celtics leaders in miles traveled during play. Jrue Holiday, 100.3. Jayson Tatum, 96.5. Derek White, 95.3. And the list goes on to have Sam Hauser down there at 75 for the season. So overall, Jrue Holiday has been getting around. And we can see his difference on the court. Have we had some inconsistencies from Holiday? Absolutely. But you know what? There's so many stars in this team that he does so much off the box score. His box score isn't bad when you look at it. 13.1, 6 rebounds, which is great. Nearly 5 assists, 45% from the field, 41% from the three-point line. And keep in mind, he's been a lot more consistent from the three-point line. I would say during the month of January, he's been taking clutch shots when we need it. Maybe some not clutch shots when the Boston Celtics don't need it and have a lot of time left on the clock, but we can get into that in another video. But overall, it really does feel like Jrue Holiday is probably going to end up doing some sort of team-friendly deal with the Boston Celtics, because you guys have to remember, Brad Stevens has to pay a lot of players in this team. Jaylen Brown is the highest paid player in the NBA. Jayson Tatum is probably going to become the highest paid player in the NBA. So to give an extension to somebody like Jrue Holiday, who just kind of wants to remain with the team, I could see a team-friendly deal occurring in the future. But that's just my opinion. The reason why we even have Celtics Today is so we can hear yours. All you guys have to do is go ahead and comment down below. Should Boston give Jrue Holiday a multi-year extension? Type S for sign or type P for pass. While you guys are lingering on that question, let me go on ahead and add another quote from Jrue Holiday on top of that saying, I think everybody kind of knows we're set, and we're set for a long period. No matter what happens, you're going to come back here with the same guys for the most part. Things happen, but I think you lock into that. Being able to have that comfortability and just kind of that pressure off of you about what's next. I can only imagine being a professional athlete, getting paid millions of dollars and not knowing where your life is going to take you. It definitely provides a little bit of anxiety. So the fact that the Boston Celtics seem to be super locked in through the year 2025 is really settling to know that, look, even if the Boston Celtics weren't to win Banner 18 this year, unfortunately, it's good to know that there are still majority of the players that are going to be with the Boston Celtics through 2025. But I really do think Jayson Tatum is probably going to be the priority this summer to be able to sign him to a supermax contract. He sees what JB gets paid, and I think it's JT turns. And of course, you also have to look at an extension with Derek White as well. I think Holiday will be in that realm, But overall, through 2024-25, the C's look pretty much the same. But I do want to talk about possibly making the C's a little bit different this year, and I'm talking about size. I have seen this all season long. It's about time we look at 5 big targets the Celtics should at least consider before the trade deadline. So we're going to talk about that towards the back half of this show. You guys are not going to want to miss that 5th person that we do bring up, but I want you guys to know about Prize Picks first and foremost. The #1 daily fantasy sports app in America's phone, in my phone, and in Smitty's phone. Why are we playing this? Because it's so much fun. I know that sounds cliche, but truly, I used to never, ever, ever put money down on games. I didn't understand it. I always lost. I have won over 15 entries on Prize Picks, and here's how you guys can too. It's super easy. That's why. All you have to do is pick between 2 to 6 players and pick more or less on their projected stats for that night's game, and you can win up to 25 times your money. My last entry, I put in $10, I won 50. So these are my picks for Super Bowl Sunday. They already have a mega deal going on. 99% off Pat Mahomes passing yards, more. Then Brock Purdy to have less than 240.5 passing yards, but not for what you think. I think Brock Purdy does most of his damage on the ground. These are my picks, but I want to see yours. All you guys have to do is go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Be sure to use that promo code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100, and watch yourself win some real money in real time. So the Hall of Famous Bleacher Report did put out an article saying there are some of the big needs that each NBA team needs ahead of the trade deadline because, guys, we are within 2 weeks of that deadline occurring. So some teams are going to have to make some moves, and for the Boston Celtics, they're literally going to have to make some big moves. Let's break down what that article said just for a moment. I do have Andy Bailey with Bleacher Report saying, for the Boston Celtics, the more honest approach to this slide might be to simply say the C's just don't have any needs. Music to my ears. They're completely dominating a league as packed with talent as it's ever been, and it doesn't really seem to matter which members of their 8-man rotation are on the floor. Mr. Bailey, tell us something that we don't know. But if it's forced to nitpick, which, that's what we do, perhaps the Celtics could use a bit more size coming off the bench. Pritchard's 6'1". The team's defensive rebounding percentage has taken a dip in each of the past 2 seasons when 6'8" Sam Hauser is on the floor as well. Look, Boston only needs 2 starters to stay afloat. This has been one of my favorite rotations so far this season, is the fact that I love that Joe Mazzulla slides in a Pritchard, a Sam Hauser, a Al Horford, but you've always got Jrue Holiday and Tatum, Derek White and Jaylen Brown, KP and JB. You've always got 2 starters constantly in the mix, and look at the Denver Nuggets. They really only have 2 starters they can play the entire game, which is Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. So the fact that the Boston Celtics can mix in 6 makes him absolutely dominant. But to get a little bit nitpicky, Daniel Theis did go 8 for 9 on Saturday, which does just prove the Boston Celtics' downfall, which I think we all know this. It's not a huge deal, but it is a problem, is the size. This is a big man's league, and I understand that 6'1" is not small, but it's smaller for the NBA. So when you're going into playoffs and you're playing bigger teams, you definitely need to be able to lean on your bench to give you more muscle down low and to give you more size in the paint. So here's where it's your turn. Do the Celtics need to make a trade at all? Like Andy Bailey said, I know Smitty and I talk about this every single week. The C's look phenomenal. So do you think Brad Stevens should even lose sleep over this? Well, let me go ahead and bring you these 5 options. But before I do that, type Y for yes, type in for no on whether or not the Boston Celtics should make a trade. Let's look at the big picture here, all right? I'm going to see how many times I can fit the word big in here. So a bigger bench would consist of somebody like Andre Drummond. Chicago Bulls have been trading him. They've been marketing him. They've been open to getting rid of him since preseason, I believe. I mean, this has just been ongoing forever. Day'Ron Sharpe, who we have talked about here on Celtics Today, could be a great option for the Boston Celtics. He's a young guy coming in here acting as a big. Xavier Tillman as well, playing for a not-so-good Memphis Grizzlies right now, can come in. He's a little bit smaller, 6'7", but he's got the width that I really like. Makes it look like a Neemias Queta, but with a little bit more experience in the paint. Nick Richards, the Charlotte Hornets are looking to blow up and rebuild. Why not go nitpick the Charlotte Hornets, who beat the Boston Celtics, and take Nick Richards from their team? And of course, last but not least, the player Smitty and I have at the top of our list for Brad Stevens to go out and get is Naji Marshall. A true center? No, but he's a power forward with some size. And Naji Marshall has been known to pop off against the Boston Celtics in prior years, so why not go against a guy that is coming to be the Achilles heel of this C's team? And these are just a few guys to name that could be plugged in immediately to help the Boston Celtics on defense, because with the way Boston's offense runs, some would look like Keita out there. And it is unfortunate that Neemias Queta just may not be as ready as we do want him to when Neemias Queta does come in. It looks like he's doing more fouling than anything else just due to inexperience. But the way Queta looks in the paint is one of my favorite things about him. He has got size and he has width. The muscles in the paint are just intimidating to other players. So overall, I just think the only way to summarize this is don't overspend unless they fit. Don't go out there and make a trade just because you can, because Brad Stevens full-blown won the offseason with the trades that he made. So, like Andy Bailey said with the Bleacher Report, like Allie Barefoot said of the Celtics Today, the Boston Celtics could slide right through February 8th and not make a single trade and still have one of the best shots to win the NBA Finals, which speaks volumes to every other team out there. But however, there are teams that are contradicting and trying to beef up their squads to compete with us, which makes me question whether or not Brad Stevens should do the same just to counteract. Well, here's my final question for you. Name a player you'd want Brad Stevens to trade for. It can be somebody that's available. It can be somebody that has to give up a starter for. It can be just a bench move. And keep in mind, the Boston Celtics do still have the $6.2 million trade player exception that I could see Brad Stevens utilizing very quickly. Go ahead and comment that down below, and while you guys are at it, hit that subscribe button. Anything that happens to the Boston Celtics before or after the NBA trade deadline, we're going to provide it right here for free, so hit that sub button for me.